So I would like to offer you a centering practice. And this is one that I learned from Staci K. Haines, who's a teacher in the field of somatics, specializing in trauma healing and intersecting personal and social transformation. And this is a practice that you can do seated or standing. And so the principle inside of centering is to get present, to become open and connected, and then connected in with our purpose or our calling. What's really important to us. So that's what we're practicing into our nervous systems. And so repeated practice of anything creates embodiment. And so if you like this practice, you can feel free to take it in and to practice it for a few minutes a day or for the rest of your life if you like. So checking in with yourself and noticing, would you like to experience this seated or standing? I'm going to stand. I've got some extra energy. And so if you're sitting, notice if it's available to uncross your legs and put your feet on the floor. And if you're standing, just put your legs right underneath your hip bones here. And your knees, you want them to be a little bit soft, not locked. And take a breath. The first thing that we do inside of this practice is to just bring our attention down from our thinking, down into our sensing and feeling selves. And so sensations are always happening in present time. And one of the quickest ways that we can get present is to feel ourselves and to sense ourselves. And so the invitation is to really take these cleansing breaths to arrive and to just even acknowledge yourself for being here, for doing this practice. And if you're seated, perhaps allow your hands to rest in your lap. And then for those of us that are standing, letting them fall by your sides. And just kind of follow and let your attention follow your breath down into the rest of your body. And maybe you can imagine your breath going all the way down your spine to your sacrum, or your tailbone. And just come into your feeling self, your sensing self. Noticing temperatures, places that you're warmer or cooler. Perhaps you can notice places you're more relaxed or more tense in the shoulders. That's how it is for me. And noticing more of your whole self, more of what's here now. And the invitation is to bring your attention down to center. And center is just a couple of inches below your belly button. If it feels supportive, perhaps notice if it feels supportive to put a hand on your abdomen. And you can do that to feel it more, to feel center and to bring your breath from behind your hand. Breathing deep into your center. And notice if you can feel yourself from the inside out, from behind your hands. Bringing your attention into the body. Letting your hand rest from center. We're going to be centering in 4 dimensions or 4 directions. And the first direction is length. Centering in length. The invitation is to settle your weight down to the lower body. If you're seated, into the support of your seat, all the way down to your feet. And to your heels if you're standing. And then lengthening up to the top of your head, creating more space between each of your vertebrae, settling down and lengthening up at the same time. Coming into your full length. Because of course one of the many impacts of long-term stress, trauma, oppression is that we shrink. We can practice expanding back into our full selves and finding this experience of balance from bottom to top. And so centering your full length, and then inside of that, centering in your inherent dignity, or the inherent dignity of all of life that includes you. And playing around with that, feeling into that, centering in dignity and really letting your nervous system feel that, feeling that length from center. And now we'll center in width. And so that's really widening out from side to side, widening out across your collarbones, across your hips, across your feet, widening ear to ear, widening and letting yourself widen out. And of course, we can widen out behind our own physical body as well. And if it's available to you, maybe you can even just stretch and feel the aliveness of you come out all the way out of your hands, widening side to side and feeling your width, keeping that width, and then relaxing again into center, balancing out left and right. We think of width as our relational space. Width is where we let ourselves out, where we let others in. It's where we can have centered boundaries, not from a place of reaction, but from a place of being centered. Yeah, so centering in width. And a third direction is depth. Depth from our back side, our inside, our front side. And so let's first put our attention on our back sides. Our devices pull so many of our sensing organs. So many of those organs are in the front, right? And we get really pulled forward. And so paying attention to the space between your shoulder blades, or pay attention to the back of your hips, noticing your heels, and letting yourself feel and expand into your back body, and really experiencing your back as your connection to history, ancestors, teachers, everybody who has our backs. And feeling that back side and coming through from the back to the inside. And then all the way to the front. And taking a breath or two as you're expanding your ribs back. And making even more space. Even if it's 3% more space in depth. All the way to sensing and feeling your front side. Being able to face into the future. Face and bring your intentions, your good wishes into the future. And so centering in depth, balancing front and back, and feeling the whole of you, length, width, depth, is like remembering that we're these dynamic, alive organisms. We're not just a series of thoughts or a body, an object that's carrying us around in our lives, right? We're really alive, dynamic organisms. And there is so much information that comes through our senses when it comes to our emotions. And so some of you might know of Candace Pert. She was an American neuroscientist and cell biologist who really talked about the neural pathways in the brain, the neural pathways in our heart, and the neural pathways and thinking that actually happens in our gut, and how they are all connected. Our instincts, our emotions, and our thinking. And of course, they're connected, right? How could they not be? We're one nervous system, but one of the things that we really look at in centering is how do we line up this brain with this brain and this brain? And then having them operating together instead of at odds. And so the last thing that we want to center on, that fourth direction, is centering on who and what matters to you, your commitment to the future, or your calling, your purpose. And so taking that in, and whatever that is for you, just centering on who and what matters to you. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's justice. Maybe it's your family, your relationships, climate, bringing more peace to the world. Center on that and allowing what you love to inform and nourish your nervous system. Allowing what you're committed to shape and inform you. Now checking in with your emotional state. How's your mood? How do you feel in this moment? And allowing yourself to name that. To be present, open, and connected with what's arisen. All right. And so center, it's really a place we build as a resource to come back to over and over again. And I just really want to, say that centering can leave us feeling calm, or it can leave us feeling tender. And so I just really want you to be aware that we can be centered and sad and grieving. We can be centered and be peaceful and calm, or we can be centered and connect with our righteous anger. We can be in a place of choice instead of a place of reaction. And so whatever our emotional state is, because there's a wide range of emotions that are really, really responses to being alive and to our world, and our invitation is to be able to accept and regulate them, to not shut them down. And so one of my great wishes is that our generation and the next generation can really make individual and collective transformation inseparable. And taking that in, so when we heal ourselves, when we regulate our nervous system, we become a safe and trustworthy resource for others. They can feel our presence because we can feel ourselves. We are intimately connected, and I'm so grateful for the time that you've spent here with me today. Did you like the practice? I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me or leave your comments in the chat below.